He crushed something into her food, then calls it vitamins. Why hide it?
Spit it out! My son's scream cut through the room just as I swallowed. We were at the dinner table, just the three of us. Me, my husband Daniel, and our 7-year-old Eli. I'd just taken a bite of chicken. Nothing unusual. Until Eli shot to his feet, knocking his chair over like something was seriously wrong. My mouth was still full when he started yelling again, panic, real panic. His eyes locked on me like I was about to die. And Daniel, he didn't move. He just stared at my plate, not at me, not at Eli, just watching. I tried to spit, but my throat tightened. Something felt off, wrong texture, wrong taste, and suddenly I couldn't breathe the way I should have. Then Eli shouted, louder this time. He put something in it. And that's when Daniel finally stood up. He didn't rush to me. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just stood there, slowly, like he'd been waiting for something. Maya, Daniel said, his voice low, controlled, almost too calm for the moment. You're fine. Just chew. Chew? My chest tightened at the word. I couldn't even swallow right. And he wanted me to chew? Eli shook his head violently, backing away from the table like the plate in front of me was dangerous. No! Don't listen to him! Mom! Spit it out, please! His voice cracked on the last word. I had never heard him sound like that before. Not scared of the dark. Not after nightmares. This was different. This was urgent. I tried to move, tried to push the food out of my mouth, but my tongue felt thick, uncooperative. My throat tightened like it was closing in on itself. I choked, barely getting the sound out. My hand flew to my neck instinctively. Air wasn't coming in the way it should. Daniel stepped closer then, finally, but not toward my face, toward my plate again. His eyes flicked down, scanning it quickly, like he was checking something. Eli, he said sharply, go to your room, right now. No, Eli shouted, his whole body trembling. You said it was vitamins, but I saw you. I saw you crush it. The words hit harder than the choking. Crush it? My vision blurred for a second, but not just from the lack of air. Something cold slid into my stomach, fear, sharp and immediate. Daniel exhaled through his nose, slow, controlled, like he was trying to stay patient. That's enough, he said, quieter now, but more dangerous. You're confused. I'm not. Eli's voice broke again. You did it when Mom wasn't looking. You always do. Always. The word echoed louder than anything else in the room. My fingers curled into the edge of the table as I forced myself to lean forward. My body finally obeyed just enough. I spat what I could into my napkin, coughing hard, my throat burning. For a second, everything blurred: the table, the lights, Eli's crying, but then it snapped back into focus. There was something in the food. Not just chicken. Something pale, crushed, powdery, but clumped together from the moisture. My stomach dropped. Daniel moved fast, too fast. He grabbed the napkin out of my hand before I could even fully register what I was looking at. It's nothing, he said immediately. Undercooked bits. You're overreacting. Overreacting? I stared at him, my breathing uneven, my chest still tight. That's not, I started, but my voice came out thin, uncertain. My own body was betraying me, weak, shaky, unreliable. Eli stepped closer to me, his small hand grabbing my arm. Mom, don't eat anything else, please, I mean it. Daniel's jaw tightened. Eli. Just his name, but it landed like a warning. Eli didn't let go of me. And for the first time, I noticed something I couldn't unsee. Daniel didn't look worried. He didn't look scared. He looked irritated. Like this wasn't an emergency. Like this was a problem. My breathing hitched again, shallow and uneven. A strange dizziness crept in at the edges of my vision, like the room was tilting just slightly off balance. I can't. I tried again, pressing my hand harder against my chest. Something's wrong. Daniel stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder, but it didn't feel comforting. It felt guiding, controlling. You're having a panic attack, he said smoothly. That's all this is. You worked yourself up. A panic attack? No. This wasn't that. This felt physical, real. Eli shook his head frantically. No, she's not. Mom, he's lying. Don't listen to him. Go to your room. Daniel's voice dropped lower, sharper now. Eli didn't move. Neither did I. For a second, no one spoke. Then Eli said something quieter but somehow worse. He did it yesterday too. My head snapped toward him. Yesterday? A memory flickered me, half asleep on the couch, Daniel telling me I just overexerted myself, that I needed rest, that I should trust him. My stomach twisted. Daniel's grip on my shoulder tightened just slightly, enough for me to feel it. Eli, he said, his tone changing again, careful, measured. You don't understand what you're saying. I do, Eli shot back. I saw the bottle in the garage, the one with the… Enough. This time, Daniel didn't just say it. He stepped between us, blocking Eli from me completely. My heart slammed against my ribs, not just from whatever was happening in my body, but from something else rising fast behind it. Why was he blocking him? Why wouldn't he let him finish? The dizziness surged again, stronger now. My fingers slipped against the table as I tried to steady myself. I swallowed hard, struggling to get air in. I need water. Daniel didn't move toward the sink. He didn't call for help. He just looked down at me, calculating again, like he was deciding something. And that's when Eli screamed, louder than before, his voice breaking completely. Mom, don't drink anything, he'll try to give you more. Don't drink anything, he'll try to give you more. The words hit harder than the choking. I froze, halfway to pushing my chair back, my hand still gripping the edge of the table. My throat burned, my chest tight, but now something else took over, something colder, sharper. I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. His face didn't change much, but it wasn't calm anymore. Not fully. There was something underneath now. Irritation, tension, a crack in whatever control he was trying to keep. That's enough, Eli, he said, his voice low, controlled again, but thinner this time. You're scaring her. I'm trying to help her, Eli shouted, his voice shaking. He stepped to the side, trying to see around Daniel to get back into my line of sight. Mom, please just don't eat or drink anything he gives you. The room felt smaller, tighter. Daniel shifted slightly, still between us. Go upstairs. Now, he said, sharper. No. It wasn't loud, but it landed. Eli stood there, small, trembling, but unmoving. And Daniel noticed. I saw it in the way his shoulders stiffened, in the pause that lasted just a second too long. That's when I realized something I hadn't let myself think before. Eli wasn't just scared, he was defying him. My breathing came in short bursts, uneven, my lungs not quite filling the way they should. I forced myself to speak. Daniel, what's going on? He turned to me immediately, like flipping a switch. Softer eyes, gentler tone. You're overwhelmed, he said. You've been like this lately. Dizzy, anxious, you barely eat, and then when you do, your body reacts. That didn't feel right. It sounded prepared. Like something he'd said before. I'm not, I started, but my voice faltered as another wave of dizziness rolled through me. I grabbed the table harder to steady myself. Eli moved fast, slipping past Daniel before he could stop him. He grabbed my arm again. Mom, listen to me. I saw him in the kitchen. He crushed something and put it on your plate. I saw it. Daniel turned sharply. Eli. Not loud, but dangerous. Eli flinched, but didn't let go of me. I'm not lying, he said, louder now, desperate. You always tell me not to lie. I'm not lying. Always. The word echoed again. My heart pounded harder, each beat uneven against the tightness in my chest. I looked between them, my husband, steady but strained, and my son, terrified but certain. Daniel, I said slowly, my voice barely holding. What did he see? Nothing, Daniel replied immediately. Too quickly. He's been imagining things lately, acting out. That's not true, Eli snapped, his grip tightened on my arm. You told me not to come into the kitchen, remember? You said it was dangerous, but I saw you through the door. A flicker. Just a flicker, but I caught it. Daniel's eyes shifted, not to Eli, to the trash can. My stomach dropped. I followed his gaze without thinking. The napkin. The one he took from me. The one with whatever I had just spit out. Wait, I said, my voice sharper now despite the weakness in my body. Where is it? Daniel blinked once. Where's what? The napkin. A pause. Too long. Then he exhaled, casual too casual. I threw it away. It was nothing. Nothing. Eli shook his head violently. No! It wasn't nothing. I pushed myself up slightly, ignoring the way the room tilted. I want to see it. Daniel didn't move. For a second, neither of us did. Then Eli broke first, darting toward the trash can. Eli, don't, Daniel started, stepping forward quickly. Let him, I snapped. The words surprised even me, but they came out stronger than anything I'd said so far. Daniel stopped. Just for a second, but it was enough. Eli was already digging through the trash, his small hands shaking as he pushed aside paper towels and packaging. It's here, I know it's here. Eli, stop, Daniel said again, more forceful now. You're making a mess for no reason. No reason? Eli shot back, his voice breaking. She can't breathe. That silence again. Heavy, thick. Eli's hand froze inside the trash. Then slowly, he pulled something out. The napkin? Crushed, damp, folded in on itself. My pulse spiked. Show me, I said. Eli turned toward me, starting to open it, and Daniel moved. Fast. Too fast. He stepped forward, reaching out. Give me that, he said, his voice no longer calm. Not even close. And for the first time since this started, I felt it clearly. Not confusion. Not fear of being sick. Fear of him. Because in that moment, watching him reach for that napkin, I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. He didn't want me to see what I had just put in my mouth. He didn't want me to see it. That thought hit before anything else, and it didn't leave. Give me that, Eli. Daniel's voice was tighter now, stripped of the calm he'd been forcing this whole time. Eli flinched, but pulled the napkin closer to his chest instead. No. One word. Small. Shaking. But it stopped Daniel just enough. Eli, Daniel said again, slower now, like he was trying to pull control back into the room. You don't understand what you're doing. I do, Eli shot back, his voice cracking. You're hurting her. The word hurting landed harder than anything else. My chest tightened again, not just from whatever was happening inside my body, but from the way Daniel reacted. Because he didn't deny it. He didn't correct him. He just exhaled slowly, like this had become inconvenient. Maya, he said, turning to me again, softer, stepping closer. You're not well. Look at you, you're shaking. You can barely stand. This is exactly what I've been trying to tell you. My vision blurred at the edges again, the room dimming slightly. My fingers tingled as I gripped the table. He wasn't wrong about how I looked, but something about the way he said it didn't feel like concern. It felt like confirmation. I swallowed, my throat still tight. I want to see it. Simple. Clear. For a moment, Daniel didn't respond. Then Eli slowly began to open the napkin. Every movement felt too loud, the crinkle of the paper, his uneven breathing, my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. Inside, the half-chewed piece of chicken and something else. Small, crushed, white. Not food. Not anything that belonged on a plate. My stomach dropped so hard it made me dizzy all over again. What is that? I whispered. Daniel answered immediately. It's nothing, just a supplement capsule. It probably didn't dissolve properly. Supplement. The word felt wrong. I stared at it, trying to process, trying to match it to anything familiar, but it didn't click. I don't take supplements like that, I said, my voice barely steady. You do, Daniel replied smoothly. I've been giving them to you, to help with your energy. You said you've been tired. A memory flickered him, handing me water some nights, telling me to take something, telling me it would help. But I had never seen a capsule like that. Never. Eli shook his head hard. That's not what it is. I saw the bottle. Daniel's eyes snapped to him. Enough. It had a skull on it, Eli blurted out, louder now, desperate. In the garage, you keep it locked. The room went completely still. Even my breathing seemed to pause for a second. A skull. That wasn't a supplement. That wasn't normal. I looked at Daniel, waiting, needing something that made sense. He laughed. Not loud, not natural. Just forced. Cleaning chemicals, he said. That's what he saw. Bottles are labeled like that all the time. But his eyes didn't match the explanation. They flicked again quick, sharp toward the door. Like he was thinking ahead. Planning. My stomach twisted. A sudden knock broke the moment. Sharp. Unexpected. All three of us turned toward the front door. Everything okay in there? A voice called from outside. Mrs. Klein, our neighbor. The tension snapped, but not in a good way. Daniel moved instantly. Yeah, everything's fine, he called back, his voice flipping back to friendly so fast it made my head spin. Just a little family disagreement. Family disagreement? I could barely breathe. Eli clutched the napkin tighter. No, it's not. Daniel turned on him immediately, his smile gone the second his face was out of view from the door. Stop. One word. Cold. Controlled again, but thinner now. I pushed myself upright, ignoring the wave of dizziness that followed. I need air, I said, my voice strained. I can't, something's wrong. I've got you, Daniel said quickly, stepping in, placing a firm hand on my arm. We're going to the hospital. Hospital. That should have felt like help. But it didn't. Not with him. Eli shook his head violently. No, don't go with him. Eli, stop it, Daniel snapped, his grip tightening just slightly on me. You're making this worse. He's been doing this, Eli shouted, his voice breaking completely now. Not just today. He's been putting stuff in your food for weeks. Weeks. The word hit like a shockwave. My mind scrambled, pulling pieces together whether I wanted it to or not. The exhaustion. The nights I couldn't stay awake after dinner. The mornings where everything felt slow, foggy. Stress, Daniel had said. Burnout. You just need rest. My heart started racing faster, panic building not just from the physical symptoms, but from the possibility forming in my head. Daniel's hand tightened again. We're leaving, he said firmly, guiding me toward the door. I hesitated. Just for a second. And in that second, Eli grabbed my other arm, pulling me back. Mom, please, he said, his voice shaking, desperate, eyes locked on mine. Don't go with him, please. He's been doing this when you're not looking. I've seen it, more than once. My chest rose and fell unevenly. Daniel on one side, Eli on the other. One pulling me forward, one pulling me back. And for the first time, I didn't know who I was supposed to trust. He's been doing this, more than once. Eli's words didn't fade this time. They stayed. Loud, heavy, impossible to ignore. I pulled my arm away from Daniel. Not violently, not dramatic. Just enough. But it changed everything. His grip lingered in the air for a second before dropping, and when I looked at him really look this time, the calm was gone. Not completely, but cracked. Maya, he said carefully, like he was choosing each word before it left his mouth. You're not thinking clearly right now. My chest tightened again, but this time it wasn't just physical. Maybe I'm not, I admitted, my voice unsteady. So explain it to me. A pause. Too long. Behind me, Eli moved closer, his hand finding mine, gripping tight like he thought I might disappear if he let go. Daniel noticed. Of course he did. His eyes dropped to our hands, then back to my face. You've been exhausted for weeks, he said. You said it yourself. You forget things. You lose track of conversations. That's not normal. It sounded reasonable. Too reasonable. Like something rehearsed. I saw him, Eli cut in, his voice smaller now, but just as firm. At night, when you were in the living room, he thought I was asleep. Daniel didn't look at him. He kept his eyes on me. He's confused, Daniel said. Kids mix things up, especially when they're already anxious. I'm not confused, Eli snapped, louder again. You crushed the pills and mixed them in. You did it more than one time. Pills. The word echoed against everything else. My mind started connecting pieces slowly at first, then faster. The nights I couldn't keep my eyes open. The way my body would feel heavy after dinner, like I was sinking into the couch. The mornings where everything felt dull, like I wasn't fully there. You told me I needed rest, I said, my voice quieter now. You did, Daniel replied immediately, because you do. But I didn't feel like this before, I said. Not like that. Another pause. This one sharper, more dangerous. You've been under pressure, he said. You just didn't notice how bad it was getting. That word again. Getting, like it was building, like it was something he had been tracking. Eli squeezed my hand tighter. Mom, he told me not to come into the kitchen anymore, he said, his voice trembling. He said it wasn't safe, but I opened the door anyway, just a little, and I saw him. I turned to Daniel slowly. He finally looked at Eli. not with anger this time. Something else. Calculation. What exactly do you think you saw? Daniel asked. His tone wasn't loud, but it wasn't kind either. Eli swallowed. You had a bottle, and you were pouring something into your hand. Then you crushed it, and you looked at the door like you thought someone was watching. Silence. My heartbeat filled the space. Daniel exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair like he was tired of the conversation. Even if that were true, he said, you don't know what it was. I know it wasn't food, Eli shot back. And you know what every supplement looks like? Daniel replied, sharper now. I know it had a skull on it, Eli yelled. That word again. Skull. It landed differently now. Heavier. Real. I looked at Daniel, waiting. Needing him to say something that made sense. Something that made this stop spiraling. Instead, he muttered something under his breath. So quiet, I almost missed it. You weren't supposed to notice yet. Everything stopped. What? I said. He didn't answer right away. His eyes flicked between me and Eli, like he was recalculating something in real time. Like the plan had shifted. Daniel, I said, my voice firmer now despite the tremor underneath it. What did you just say? He looked at me then. Really looked. And for the first time since this started, he didn't try to soften it. You've been struggling, he said. For a while, you just don't see it. That's not an answer. It is, he replied, just not one you like. My stomach turned. The dizziness surged again, but I forced myself to stay upright, to stay present. What have you been giving me? I asked. Straight. Clear. No room to redirect. Daniel held my gaze. Seconds passed. Too many. Then, finally, he spoke. Quiet. Measured. Controlled. Something you needed. The words didn't explain anything. They made it worse. Behind me, Eli's grip tightened again, his breathing uneven. And standing there, between them, between what I felt in my body and what I was starting to understand, one thing became impossible to ignore. This wasn't a misunderstanding. And whatever Daniel had been putting in my food, it wasn't an accident. Something you needed. The words stayed in the air, heavy and deliberate. I stared at Daniel, waiting for him to say more, for him to explain, to correct, to fix what he'd just admitted. He didn't. The knock at the door came again, louder this time. Maya, I'm calling someone if you don't answer, Mrs. Klein's voice cut through the tension. Daniel exhaled sharply, his jaw tightening. For a split second, I saw it clearly, the shift from control to calculation. Then sirens. Faint at first. But getting closer. You shouldn't have let this get out of hand, Daniel muttered, more to himself than to me. Out of hand. Like this was an inconvenience. Like I didn't do anything, I said, my voice shaking but louder now. You did. Eli pressed closer to me as footsteps approached the front door. A moment later, it opened. Mrs. Klein must have let them in. 2 paramedics stepped inside, followed by a police officer. The room changed instantly. What's going on? One of the paramedics asked, scanning the scene, me unsteady, Eli clinging to me, Daniel standing a little too still. I can't breathe right, I said quickly before Daniel could speak over me, and I think my voice faltered, but I forced it through. I think something was put in my food. Silence dropped hard. The officer's attention shifted immediately to Daniel. Sir, he said. Daniel smiled. Actually smiled. She's confused, he said smoothly. She's been having episodes, dizziness, anxiety. Our son got worked up and made it worse. No, Eli shouted. That's not true. He's been putting stuff in her food. The paramedics moved fast, then one guiding me to sit down, the other checking my pulse, my breathing, my pupils. Ma'am, stay with me, one of them said. What did you ingest? I don't know, I admitted, my voice trembling. Something crushed, in my food. Eli held up the napkin with shaking hands. This was in it. The officer stepped forward and took it carefully, unfolding it just enough to see the contents. His expression didn't change much, but it didn't relax either. Where did this come from? He asked. My plate, I said. Daniel let out a quiet laugh. This is ridiculous. But it didn't land the same anymore. Not here, not now. Sir, I'm going to need you to step back, the officer said, his tone firm. That was the first moment Daniel hesitated. Just a fraction. but enough. The paramedics helped me onto a stretcher. Oxygen mask pressed gently over my face. My breathing steadied slightly, but my mind didn't. It raced. Every moment from the past few weeks replayed itself differently now. The exhaustion. The confusion. The way Daniel had started handling everything, meals, vitamins, schedules. The way I had stopped questioning it. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Blood tests, monitoring, questions. So many questions. Eli stayed with me as long as they allowed, refusing to leave my side, even when he was shaking, even when he looked exhausted. Daniel wasn't there. Not after the police started asking more direct questions. It didn't take long for the results to come back. The doctor stood at the foot of my bed, her expression serious. "There are sedatives in your system," she said. "Not a dangerous dose in isolation, but consistent exposure over time could explain your symptoms. Cognitive slowing, fatigue, disorientation." My stomach dropped. "Over time?" I repeated. She nodded. This wasn't a single exposure. Weeks. Eli had been right. Every dinner. Every night I felt myself slipping a little more. It wasn't stress. It wasn't burnout. It was him. The police came back later. They told me what they'd found. The garage cabinet Eli mentioned, it wasn't just cleaning supplies. Inside were multiple prescription medications, none in my name. Some sedatives, some stronger. There were empty capsules, crushing tools. Even search history on Daniel's computer, dosages, timelines, how to induce gradual cognitive impairment without immediate detection. He hadn't just done this. He had planned it. Carefully. Precisely. "Why?" I asked, my voice hollow. The officer hesitated, then answered, "Financial control, custody positioning, if you appeared mentally unstable." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Everything clicked into place. The way Daniel had been documenting things, my forgetfulness, my fatigue, the subtle comments, "You're not yourself lately. You need help." He wasn't helping me. He was building a case. Against me. Eli sat beside me, quiet now, his small hand wrapped tightly around mine. "I tried to tell you," he said softly. I swallowed hard, emotion rising sharp and sudden. "I know," I said. "You did." And he didn't stop. Even when I didn't listen right away. Even when it got worse. He saw it. He understood it. And he stepped in anyway. Daniel was arrested that night. Charges came quickly: poisoning, coercive control, child endangerment. There wasn't much room for denial. Not with the evidence. Not with Eli's testimony. Not with what was already in my system. The weeks after were slow. Recovery wasn't instant. My body had to adjust. My mind too. There were gaps, moments I couldn't fully trust, memories that felt blurred at the edges. But they came back, piece by piece. Without him, there. Without anything being added to my food. I got stronger, clearer, present again. Eli started sleeping through the night. That was how I knew things were changing. The fear in him didn't disappear overnight, but it loosened. Little by little, until one evening, weeks later, we sat at the same table again. Just the two of us. Same plates, same room. But everything felt different. Quieter, safer. I had made the food myself. Every step. Every ingredient. I placed the plate in front of him, then sat down across from him with mine. For a moment, neither of us moved. Eli watched me carefully. Not scared. Just cautious. I understood that now. I picked up my fork, paused, then took a bite. Chewed. Swallowed. Nothing happened. I looked at him and gave a small nod. "It's okay." He studied me for a second longer, then finally picked up his own fork. And ate. The silence that followed wasn't tense anymore. It was steady. Real. And as I sat there, fully present in a way I hadn't been in weeks, one thought settled clearly in my mind. The moment my son screamed at that table didn't just save me from what was in my mouth. It exposed the person who had been slowly taking everything else. And this time, I saw it before it was too late.
Would you have trusted him or your child? Watch again. What clue did you miss?